The players like Kyrie Irving, players like Giannis, I mean, these are guys that are really working to strive to do.
He's a two-time MVP. You know, regardless how he score, he do it.
There's a two-time MVP who just deleted nearly every single post about his current team from social media after losing to the worst team in the NBA.
The franchise player, no doubt about that. This kid is next. I mean, he has unbelievable talent. He reminds me a little bit of KD and Westbrook a little bit.
It just makes the moment that much bigger. I'll just always remember when Giannis took this team, put him on his back. The team, he had 50. How many did they score as a team?
105.
105.
And within hours, his agent confirmed they're having active conversations about leaving the franchise that drafted him.
Nice swing.
And helped him win a championship. And wait until we see the exact three-team Blockbuster trade that could send LeBron James to Golden State while completely reshaping the entire league's power structure for the next decade.
Personal, and so that foul was called, not a shooting foul. Yes! Taking it all the way for the slam.
Oops. Rebound, out of it.
When we examine what just happened with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, we're watching one of the most seismic franchise relationships in recent NBA history reach its breaking point in real time, because this isn't just speculation or rumor anymore. His agent, Alex Saratzis, is now having open and active conversations with the Bucks front office about whether his future is best served staying in Milwaukee or moving on elsewhere.
Touching. Very touching, amazing, and just knowing this young man's career and the journey that he's been on, it's amazing.
He's the first big man that I've seen average 27-13, right? A couple assists, 6 assists without post moves. So he's a point big man.
And Shams Charania confirmed this directly.
Our senior insider Shams Charania reported early this morning that Giannis Antetokounmpo expressed questions about the Bucks' ability to truly contend over the summer to his front office.
I guess that Giannis Antetokounmpo wanted to play for if he were to be traded outside of Milwaukee, if these two sides could reach agreement on a deal. And so the Bucks also picked up that phone call that the Knicks made. And I was told essentially from one source that this was an exclusive negotiating window that the Knicks had over multiple weeks.
The timeline here reveals something absolutely critical, because Giannis quietly requested a trade during the summer months. There were failed trade discussions in August. The New York Knicks received an exclusive multi-week negotiating window, and then he changed his mind and committed to playing out this season in Milwaukee. But after a crushing loss to the 3-17 Washington Wizards that dropped the Bucks to 9 wins and 13 losses, something inside him finally snapped. The questions we need to answer are straightforward. First, what exactly has gone so catastrophically wrong in Milwaukee that a franchise cornerstone who delivered their first championship in 50 years now wants out? And second, which teams have the assets to actually pull off a trade of this magnitude? Here's where we need to understand exactly what happened, because when we look at Giannis's social media accounts on both X and Instagram, we're seeing someone who systematically deleted almost all Bucks-related content except for posts specifically tied to the 2021 championship run and their NBA Cup victory. And this isn't accidental or random behavior.
He deleted many of his posts on X and Instagram. He only left a few posts about the Bucks, including him holding the Larry O'Brien trophy after the Bucks 2021 NBA championship.
The symbolic message here couldn't be clearer, because he's keeping the moments where Milwaukee actually won something meaningful while erasing everything else. And when athletes start scrubbing their social media presence with their current team, we're usually about 48 to 72 hours away from major news breaking. And that's exactly what happened when Shams dropped his report confirming active trade conversations.
So for the Knicks exclusive window, that window has shut. When we talk about windows, let's shut that window, because if this ever comes about where Giannis Antetokounmpo going into the season, he's going to start considering his best external options.
But here's what makes this situation so fascinating, because multiple league insiders, including Windhorst, had already told us months ago that Giannis requested a trade over the summer. The Bucks actually called the Knicks proactively and asked for an offer, because Giannis specifically said he wanted to be in New York. And this wasn't some casual inquiry. This was legitimate trade framework discussions. What changed temporarily was Giannis having his "this is my city" moment on October 28th against the Knicks, when he emphatically blocked shots and played with intensity that suggested he was recommitting to Milwaukee. And at that point, we were told definitively that all trade talks had been shut down completely. There was no Giannis trade market. There were no discussions, nothing to see here. But if it looks like a fish and it smells like a fish, then maybe, just maybe, it's a goddamn fish. Because what we're learning now is that Giannis committed himself to giving this season one more legitimate shot in Milwaukee, and the Bucks have completely failed to hold up their end of that bargain. The contrast between his stated commitment in October and his actions now in early December reveals everything about how rapidly this situation has deteriorated. Now, we need to examine exactly why Giannis has reached this breaking point, because when we look at Milwaukee's actual performance this season, we're watching a team that's currently sitting at 11th in the Eastern Conference, which means they're not even in the play-in tournament positioning. And this is supposed to be a franchise that reset for contention by signing Miles Turner this summer. The numbers tell a devastating story, because when Giannis plays, the Bucks are 9 wins and 8 losses, which is exactly .500 basketball. But when he sits out with injury or rest, they're 1 win and 5 losses, which means this roster is getting absolutely demolished without him on the floor. And that's not what championship infrastructure looks like. Here's what makes this so absurd from Giannis's perspective, because he's currently having one of the most statistically dominant seasons anyone has ever produced in NBA history, averaging 30.8 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, 6.4 assists, and an absolutely ridiculous 63.9% from the field. And he's literally the only player ever to average 30 plus points on 60% shooting or better. And this would be his 3rd consecutive season doing it. When we watch the film, we're seeing someone who's playing at an MVP level every single night, hitting game winners, throwing down thunderous dunks, protecting the rim on defense, and carrying an offensive load that would break most players. Yet his team keeps losing games they should win, including that crushing defeat to the Wizards, who came into that game with 3 wins and 17 losses. Since winning the 2021 championship, Milwaukee has won exactly 1 playoff series, and they've been knocked out in the first round for 3 consecutive years, despite cycling through coaches, trading for Damian Lillard, and now adding Miles Turner. And Giannis has been crystal clear about his expectations when he said, "If we're not contending for championships, I'm not just staying here for vibes." The front office keeps tweaking around the edges with moves like trading for Dame or signing Turner, and Giannis is looking around saying, this isn't it. Here's where the responsibility for this disaster becomes impossible to ignore, because when we examine who's accountable for Milwaukee's collapse from championship contender to borderline lottery team, all roads lead directly to Bucks general manager John Horst, and league sources are already saying that the inevitable writing is on the wall for his future with the organization. One source described Giannis's perspective perfectly when they said, "This is an organization that drafted me, that believed in me, that has been very good to me, that helped me recapture a championship because they got me the assets that I needed in the past. But since that time, I've gone to a conference semifinals once, and other than that, I've been bounced out of the postseason at least 2 or 3 times." The asset management here has been catastrophic, because when we look at what Milwaukee has surrounding their generational superstar right now, we're talking about players like Cole Anthony, Miles Turner, and Kevin Porter Jr. And while those are solid NBA rotation pieces, they're not the kind of championship caliber talent that justifies asking a player of Giannis's caliber to waste his prime years. This becomes even more damning when we consider that Giannis is 30 years old right now, which means his championship window is actively closing as we speak, and every season the Bucks waste with inadequate roster construction is one less opportunity for him to add to his legacy, and he knows this better than anyone. The reality is that this is a results-based business, and the results have spoken for themselves with brutal clarity, because Milwaukee went from being NBA champions in 2021 to being the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference just 3 years later. And that kind of organizational decline doesn't happen by accident. It happens through consistent roster mismanagement and strategic failures. What makes this situation particularly painful for Bucks fans is that Giannis has given this franchise everything. He stayed loyal when he could have left. He delivered them their first championship in half a century, and he's continued playing at an otherworldly level even as the roster around him has crumbled. But There's only so much one player can carry before the situation becomes untenable. Now we reach the part where every single NBA fan base starts dreaming about landing a two-time MVP in his prime, because trading a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo is not simple, and we all know he would love to play for a big market organization, which he stated publicly when he said, "I want all the Europeans to go to all the big markets to see something incredible. This is what I want." Any trade for Giannis would require absolutely generous compensation, including young assets, multiple draft picks, and long-term value. And several frameworks are already being discussed around the league that could actually work from a salary and asset perspective. For the New York Knicks, the most ideal package would be built around Karl-Anthony Towns, plus either Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, plus additional salary filler if needed, and multiple future first-round picks or pick swaps, which would give Milwaukee an all-star caliber center and an elite wing defender while maintaining some competitive ability. For the Golden State Warriors, the package would look like sending out Jonathan Kuminga and 3 unprotected first-round picks for Giannis and Kyle Kuzma. And the logic here is that the Bucks would get a young potential star in Kuminga, plus those valuable unprotected picks in 2029 and 2032 when the Warriors dynasty will be completely over. The San Antonio Spurs represent another fascinating possibility, even though they're currently 4th in the Western Conference, because a Giannis and Wemby duo would immediately cement them as championship favorites, and the Bucks would receive 2 recent lottery picks in Stephon Castle plus one of Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson for salary matching, along with a treasure trove of first-round picks extending through 2031. But here's the absolute craziest scenario that's being discussed: a 3-team blockbuster between the Bucks, Lakers, and Warriors, where Milwaukee gets Jonathan Kuminga, Austin Reeves, Moses Moody, and Dalton Knecht plus multiple Lakers picks. The Warriors get LeBron James, and the Lakers land Giannis Antetokounmpo plus Thanasis, Buddy Hield, and Bobby Portis. And while this sounds insane, these are the kind of franchise-altering deals that become possible when a top 5 player demands out. When we step back and examine what's happening with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, we're watching a franchise relationship that delivered a championship just 3 years ago completely fall apart because of roster mismanagement and strategic failures. And the truth is that the Giannis trade is upon us, whether Milwaukee wants to admit it or not. And every fan base across the league can finally start dreaming about what their team would look like with a 2-time MVP until we cross the NBA trade deadline in February. Now, here's the real question I'm asking you. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, would you rather keep Giannis for one more season and risk losing him for nothing in free agency, or would you trade him now and get a massive haul of young assets and picks to rebuild the franchise? Drop your answer in the comments, because this decision will define Milwaukee's next decade. If you think Giannis is going to the Knicks, Warriors, or Lakers, hit that like button, subscribe, because we're breaking down every major NBA trade rumor as it develops. Catch you in the next one. Peace.